Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of the Long Haul podcast. My name's Nine. Here's Carrie, my co-host.
Hey guys,
How are you doing, dude?
doing okay. I could have been doing better if this week's news were a little bit better, but doing okay.
Yeah, normally we start the podcast by saying, "Oh, still no news." Well, I guess by this time, everyone's heard or read of the news that Valve spoke. The Play Artifact Twitter came back to life. Hadn't said anything for the last couple of months, and they've thrown out a post called "Towards a Better Artifact," speaking their mind on what's happened and what's going to be of the game in the future. I guess it's all pretty vague, but given the huge importance of this post, I think this week, rather than fluffing around or talking about other things, we're just gonna go straight into it. If that sounds good to you, man.
Yeah, I hate being right. I predicted they were gonna give us feedback before the end of the first quarter, and here we are with information that none of us wanted.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have the chance to break down the whole message, the whole post, and give a bit of our minds on what's going on, and maybe try to figure out what some of the hidden meaning is behind some of these things. So the post was made on the Play Artifact website, and then, like I said, also posted on Twitter. It's entitled "Towards a Better Artifact." It was posted on March 29th, so now 2 days ago. And it reads as follows. When we launched Artifact, we expected it would be the beginning of a long journey, that it would lay the foundation for years to come. Our plan was to immediately dive into our normal strategy of shipping a series of updates driven by the dialogue community members were having with each other and with us. Obviously, things didn't turn out how we hoped. Artifact represents the largest discrepancy between our expectations for how one of our games would be received and the actual outcome. But we don't think that players misunderstand our game or that they're playing it wrong. Artifact now represents an opportunity for us to improve our craft and use that knowledge to build better games. Since launch, we've been looking carefully at how players interact with the game, as well as gathering feedback. It has become clear that there are deep-rooted issues with the game and that our original update strategy of releasing new features and cards would be insufficient to address them. Instead, we believe the correct course of action is to take larger steps to re-examine the decisions we've made along the way regarding game design, the economy, the social experience of playing, and more. So what does this mean? Moving forward, we'll be heads down focusing on addressing these larger issues instead of shipping updates. While we expect this process of experimentation and development to take a significant amount of time, we're excited to tackle this challenge, and we'll get back to you as soon as we're ready. And that's it. It's not signed.
Okay, so let's grab our scalpels and let's dissect this shit.
Yeah. So I was in Paris this weekend. I just came back, and as I was coming back, I grabbed my laptop. And first of all, I guess my initial reaction as I saw this on Thursday night or Friday, I guess
Friday night
for us Europeans, I was mad. Like I was just I read this and I thought, first of all, it doesn't say shit. It's completely vague. And then this is what everyone knows that they were going to say, like at least since the beginning of January. So this feels like a message they could have written. They could have easily written this during the Christmas holidays and now just copy paste it and it wouldn't change a thing. It's just that was my first feeling was desperation and kind of a disappointment. I guess disappointment being underlined there. That's how I felt. I just felt kind of fuck this. Like, why would you do this right now?
It's I wasn't even mad. I think disappointment is exactly the word. You know, like when when you're young and you fuck up, and your parents go like, "I'm so disappointed in you." That's how I felt with Valve's going like this. I was so disappointed that it was done like this.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of good that we're making the podcast a couple of days later, because I think I would have been, it would have been much worse if we would have recorded straight away. At least we had time to, settle down and, progress through the different stages of grief, I guess.
Yeah, The 13 steps.
uh, yeah, I've come to accept that I kind of knew that this message was coming. So like, there's no reason for me to be surprised. I knew this was going to happen. But yeah, I mean, let's go through it. Let's go through it. So they say, when we launched Artifact, we expected it would be the beginning of a long journey, that it would lay the foundation. Great, everyone. I think that's what everyone thought. Our plan was to immediately dive into strategy of publishing regular updates. That's clear. That's how they do stuff with other games. That's what everyone is expecting as well. But then they say, like, the updates would be driven by the dialogue community members were having with each other as well as with us. So this implies that they were listening. We kind of know that Valve listens. We know that from Dota and other games that they listen to Reddit and stuff.
They're just terrible at giving feedback.
But to who were they listening? Like, so the whole community was. I realized people had huge. There was a huge discrepancy between opinions in the community, but they had a huge long beta. Where are all the beta players? Like, why did you not listen to them? Why did you not listen to Reddit? So I start to question, where do they get the information on the community? Is it from Steam discussion posts? I don't know. I don't even go in there. I don't know what's been going on in there. I just take most of my information from Twitter, websites, and Reddit mainly. So this is like a point that to me is like, at least let us know, like, what's the correct way to interact with you guys. Or I mean, how do you say that you take feedback from the community, but it's not really clear. Basically, like the Reddit, if we focus on the Reddit, it's just basically people saying, I would do this, but that's not really a discussion. That's just a bunch of loose opinions. And I guess this brings me back to the whole beta discussion that people have kind of forgotten a bit about. But there was quite a long beta for this, and at the end, it's just so many different things.
But the thing is, the beta might have been long, but it was so restricted. I mean, they gave out keys to pro players from other games, and mostly journalists from websites that produce content for games. Most of the community never touched the beta. It was very restricted, and most feedback that they got was from pro players, and I think that might have been one of the biggest issues. And if you go on other sites and Reddit and whatever, most people say that the majority of the feedback that was given during the beta was in direction to the real problem.
Yeah. But then, okay, let's ignore the beta. Let's say that we focus on the information gathered during the period where the game came out. The big first patch of Axe and cheating death being nerfed. I mean, that was basically due to community outcry, right? I mean, they did not even want to nerf cards. The whole strategy was, we don't touch the cards. If it comes to the worst case scenario, we ban a card, like Magic does for paper. And they admitted that in one of the patches, that they decided to change their overall strategy. It's great. I agree. That's the correct way to do it. But we saw what nerfing Axe and cheating death did to the game, and it didn't bring it to a necessarily better place. It's just, people are stupid. They complain about cheating death because RNG is stupid, and then this is what happens. So, like, I think it's on the other hand, it's dangerous to just listen to community outcry, because if you now look back, the people who were complaining about those cards, where are they? They're not playing the game. They're not. Where are these people? They left the game anyway. Do you know what I mean?
I bet they, even after the nerfs, they didn't play it anymore, because a majority of the people were saying that the cards were too strong and they wanted nerfs, and the cards were very expensive at the time because they were so good. Even the Dro nerf that, well, I think the only nerf that was actually necessary could have been the signature card for Dro, because silencing the whole board was really strong. The thing is, there was a core set. If when you release the expansion, you'd release cards that would counter those and balance it out. You don't just nerf like 4 to 5 power cards after 1 month. That was actually weird to do for them to do it, but I guess they were listening to the community because a lot of people were crying out that. The thing is, and that's why they started the beta with only pro players and famous players and stuff like that, because those people are more receptive to playing with things and see what's broken, what isn't broken, and to test it out instead of all the other people that will just start saying this is broken, this is OP, nerf this, nerf that, this is etc. So I think that the first time that they listened to the community or tried to listen to the community, they did the nerfs, and in January, it showed that the people that were actually asking for that were the people who left and didn't care about it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like the people who liked the game and did not complain so much, and they also knew that things needed to change. They just didn't shitpost about cheating death every day, and those people probably kept playing the game. I'm one of them. That's probably why I say it. But the game would have been fine with Axe and cheating death not being nerfed. The 4 weeks is not enough for a meta to settle. We still now, even after 3 months, we're still seeing new decks pop out and the meta somehow shifting. And this is just a core set. So people just cry too much and focus maybe on the wrong things, like, oh, I lost a game because of cheating death. Boo hoo. Yeah. I don't know. So that's the information point. That's my view of it. So who knows? Maybe they will create a new beta for Artifact 2.0 or whatever it's going to be, and hopefully they don't get life coach to visit Valve and give them advice on what to do. Nothing against life coach, but yeah.
Well, Opsy called it, right? Long live Artifact 2.0.
Yeah. Some of the things in his post are actually I think quite correct. Although now I don't think that the game's going to be out in the summer. I personally don't even think the game's going to be out in TI, but we'll get there.
Well, I have my opinion is, and I told you this after they released this, and we were both arguing about it. I don't think they're gonna stay silent for a long time like they did this time. I expect them not to give specifics, but I expect in the next 15 days to 1 month for them to come out with more information. Even if they're just gonna say, we're gonna release this in the end of the year, or we're gonna change this or that, or we're gonna invest and try to make this change the game to free to play, or we're gonna work on the ladder. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna just leave us in silence again for so much. But hey, maybe I'm just being naive.
I think Valve went through a shock phase, like a grief phase. They probably were shocked. I don't know, what their reaction was at the offices. No one knows, I guess, but they might have been angered. They might have been depressed or whatever. And it just sounds like they now, after these actual 4 months, I think now they accept that things have gone wrong, and that's where the post comes from. And probably it's just that a couple of months ago, 2-3 months ago, when shit started hitting the fan, they probably thought we can make it through this. Let's try to cook up some small updates, and we'll just make it until the next expansion comes out, which probably was set to come out now. And now it's come to a point where they looked at their options, they sat down together, and they thought, we have two options. Either we release a set now and hope everyone comes back to try it out, or we just hold the set back and we wait to give the community all the features that they kind of wished for, probably free to play and all the, like a decent leveling system, rating system, and kind of amp up the kitchen table experience and the tournament system. That's probably what I assume is going to happen. In the following paragraph of the text, they say the things didn't turn out how we hoped. This is a huge discrepancy between our expectations and how the game actually was received. I think here, this is where I have the feeling that they're accepting what happened. They're being honest kind of here.
The first step, accepting it.
Yeah. At the end, this is the important question: is why did they go wrong? Was it because Dota players expected something else? Is it because experienced cards players expected something else? Is it because of game mechanics? Is it RNG? Was the beta period just so bad because everyone was focusing super hard on being the best player possible and winning the internal 10K events and just preparing their own content websites and whatever? I mean, we'll never know. We'll never know exactly how much feedback was given, how much of that feedback was taken and integrated into the game. And yeah, maybe the beta testers also kind of overestimated the Valve developers, and they just thought whatever is wrong, they'll just fix it later. No worries. Could be.
Well, I guess the feedback wasn't enough. My point, one of the things that I wanted to point out is on this paragraph, their expectations and how the game got received. Something that they do not mention in the post, and I guess most of the casual and even pro players out there want to know, myself included. They spoke about the $1 million tournament, and now they dropped this post. But I don't see anywhere saying the tournament that we talked about, we're postponing it, or it's still going to happen at the end of the year. It's not going to happen. I mean, they dropped this, but there's so much info that we still need that they haven't mentioned it yet.
This is obviously just speculation. I believe the tournament is still going to happen. There's no way that they believe in the game and don't make it an esport, because that's the whole point. Like, these games are meant to be competitive. Artifact in particular is the most competitive card game I've ever played. So I don't see how you believe in the game, how you support the game without having a very strong competitive scene. And that's something that they need to support competitively, and they need to also work on a spectator client. That's also one of the, in my view, one of the main problems with the client right now. They move on and say that we don't think that players misunderstand our game or that they're playing it wrong. Artifact now represents an opportunity for us to improve our craft and use that knowledge to build better games. I think they're lying here, quite honestly.
I don't know. I think if they said this any other way, they would start a shitstorm.
For sure. I mean, I'm 100% sure that players misunderstood the game. People complained that they had to put money into every possible play mode, which was not true. People complained that the game was pay to win, which was not true. People complained that the game was locked behind a huge paywall. Come on. I mean, $20 is nothing for a game. For a AAA game, it's nothing. If you wanted to jump into the game and buy the whole collection, of course it was going to be expensive. But, like, this was known from the beginning. People just did not want to hear what was out there, or they were just misinformed, and then they were disappointed by their own expectations. But it's, I mean, for me, I think this was a huge misunderstanding. I just think, especially probably with Dota players, because I guess that's the biggest chunk of the community, and probably the biggest chunk of the community that drove the hive mind opinion of the game, and also probably what led to all the negative reviews on Steam. And of course, all those things kind of feed off each other. So
I think it always comes down to the way it was designed to market. Because if you think about it, let's grab the biggest example I can get right now for a online trading card game where you need to spend some money. If you play let's say if you play Hearthstone, a new expansion comes out, and you at least you need to spend 50, make it dollars, or 50 euros, and you get like I think 40 boosters. And you probably won't get like 1/5 of the collection. You probably won't get 1/5 of the collection. I mean, if you want to get the full collection, you got to spend so much more money than you would spend to buy all the cards at the time the artifact came out. So I think the people are just so used to having a carrot on a stick to, well, you can pay this money or you can grind for 600 hours and maybe you'll get the full collection. and people will just get, well, they got the carrot on the stick. As long as I keep playing and I get like 100 gold a day for doing dailies, I'll get my collection. I'm not obliged to pay. I think the main issue when Artifact came out is that there wasn't a way for you to get boosters unless you paid, and that not having the carrot on the stick was a big problem.
Yeah, but now, so let me tell you this. Like, I'm just looking at the most helpful reviews from Steam, just the negative ones. All these players have 2 hours. 2.4. So number 1, 2.4, 1.9, 0.6 hours. This guy played for half an hour.
You don't even half an hour. You don't even play one game.
1.4 hours, 1.9 hours. So these people did not play even one. They played maybe one game. I'm sure some of these people did not even finish the tutorial. And these are regarded as the most helpful reviews on Steam. Filled with microtransactions in a $20 game, unrealistic prices, pretty fucking boring. Yeah, I mean, those must have been the 2 most boring hours of this guy's life if he was bored after 2 hours. Cash grab. I tried to refund it, but couldn't.
Well, they had like this giant freaking message saying after you finish the goddamn tutorial, if you say okay, you won't be able to refund. He had his chance.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knew if you would open your packs, you would not be able to refund, but you can still sell the cards on the Steam market. So yeah, this stuff just makes me disappointed in people. So they say, since launch, we've been looking carefully at how players interact with the game as well as gathering feedback. I would love that this sentence would have been like a bit more. Well, I mean, I would have loved that the whole post had more information, but this is just like this sentence doesn't say anything. We've been looking carefully at how players interact with the game and gathering feedback.
Wait, what feedback? The feedback from these reviews that you just read? That's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I wish they had like a platform where you could go and put like constructive feedback or explain exactly something to the devs, because I don't know what the only feedback that they get is from reading posts on Reddit, which nowadays is like a toxic place for Artifact. They would get like feedback from reading the reviews on their own game, which anyone that can open the page on Steam will see it's like more toxic than anything else on the internet at the moment, especially since they launched on the Friday the news. So I don't know. I don't know what feedback they're talking about. And it's like you say, this sentence doesn't say much. It's I don't know.
To me, like this next couple of sentences, it just is kind of, I kind of already said it, but the way that you say that it becomes clear that we had deep-rooted issues and the original update strategy was not going to work. It seems to me that by the end of January, this was pretty obvious. So, I mean, I realize they have an Artifact team. I don't know what has the Artifact team been doing for these past 2 months. Have they literally just sat down and said, "Guys, we're gonna wait it out. We're gonna wait another 8 weeks and see what's going to happen"? I mean, if you don't act, if you don't do anything, like how is changing the price of the items gonna change the opinion of a community? To me, this is kind of contradictory, because like for 2 or 3 months you're reading Reddit posts about how a lot of things need to change, and then you just wait for 8 weeks kind of hoping that changing item prices or making tiny little changes is gonna be enough, and it clearly isn't. Also, considering that the patch where they started giving free boosters up to level 15 was also very disappointing. Yeah,
I think there's something that I don't want to take like Valve's side on this, but there's something that I already crossed my mind more than once. They fired Garfield and his team last month, and I don't know if during the time that the feedback was coming and the problems were clear for us, if the designer team from Garfield would actually be the ones saying, let's not touch it. This is normal. People will eventually start playing how it's supposed to be played, or they will see that with the next expansion, these problems will be solved because card X that we're doing will counter this problem or that problem.
But so let me interrupt you, because in that scenario, if the only scenario where I believe that that would be true was if Garfield would have said something along the lines of, "We need to wait until the next expansion. This is a core set. We need the next expansion. You guys need to, need to man up and wait." But if that's what happened, so if that's what happened, why quit now? If that's what happened, then they should have released the expansion and see how the expansion would be received, and that would surely buy them at least another month, maybe longer.
I don't think that would work because we got like what 5,000 people still.
I don't know if it would work, but if that's the plan, that they defined in early January, then they should stick it out. It feels like if that was the plan, then they just decided to quit it now. Like they just said, now we cannot do this anymore. We need to just let the game die out, and we're gonna prepare for the next round.
I think if you look at the side of Garfield's, like he created it or created a big part of it, and then as a model of a business model, people from Valve would like look at it and see, we're not making money, we're losing players, and the people who actually created the cards and the system and already know that they already designed a new expansion that will fix the problem. But then if you look at it the business model way, it's like, okay, you're gonna fix the problem, but no one's gonna buy the fix because no one's gonna be playing the game. So we need to change it completely, and all the feedback and all the ways that you try to implement it's not working, and it costed us this game, our reputation, etc. I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just saying this. It crossed my mind that this could be one of the factors why they kind of fired that team and completely. Because I mean, they got fired like 3 weeks ago or something like that, and then this announcement happens, and if they're gonna make an overhaul or do something that goes to the core of the game and change it, it's going to go completely against whatever Garfield had designed for the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a reason for why the game went so long without big changes or without big fixes might have been why, because Garfield would say, or someone else in his team would say, let's not do this right now because we're gonna this next expansion or this next card archetype will completely fix this problem. But as a business model, if no one's playing your game, or if you have so much low population, even if the players that are currently playing the game would buy another 20 euros or $20 for the expansion, which most people probably would not do because they would feel cheated out. Like, your game's broken, I'm not going to pay you $20 more to fucking fix something. So I don't know if this problem that we have currently might have not been from the decision makings inside of the team that the Garfield was leading.
Yeah, that could have been. It could have been, and then they probably just zigzagged and said, "Okay, we have to get off of the Garfield path and follow our own path." And yeah, it's kind of what Opsy kind of hinted at as well last week. And that leads us to the next part, which is like what to do. So they say now they're going to re-examine the decisions that they've made along the way regarding game design, regarding the economy and the social experience of playing, and more. Regarding game design, for me, this is really scary because this hints to me that they're going to change the game, and I don't know how I feel. I feel scared about it because I do love the game, and if they change some smaller parts of the game, okay, it's probably not going to be huge. But on the other hand, if we're going to be waiting for a significant amount of time, and they lead the sentence by saying that they will change things regarding game design. Okay, game design could be the stuff around the game itself, I suppose, but to me, this hints at changing game mechanics, and that's something that I would be very sad if it would happen.
To me, this is a double-edged sword because, if I recall correctly, most of the people who streamed the game started losing viewers, not because the game was bad, but because the game wasn't as fun to watch as other card games.
Mm-hmm.
If you're spectating a game of Artifact, at certain point it gets a little bit confusing, and because of the 3 lanes and the way the arrows move and all the cards you can play.
Or if you just come in mid game, like if you start watching the game in the middle, it is quite challenging to figure out what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the way most people who are even pro players that started playing the game that came from Magic or from Gwent or whatever, those games are easier to understand. Well, Magic might not be as easy, but if you watch Gwent, Hearthstone, or like Duelist when it was still around, I think it's still around, but it doesn't matter. If the game was easier to watch, people could just plug in, see the game, have fun, I guess, watching other people play.
They have only one screen, so that's that's already something. Like,
Yeah, you focus your attention on that. That's what's happening. Those creatures, that lane, that thing's happening. So I think one of the major problems that Artifact had from start is it's confusing to spectate. And I think some of the changes that it might go around that part of the game.
mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to change big core mechanics, because if they do that, it's not Artifact anymore. It's something else. Because if they change 3 lanes to 2 lanes, or if you only have 1 lane, it's not Artifact. It's not Artifact anymore. It's another game that looks like Artifact. You can change its name to whatever the fuck you want. It's not Artifact anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's like I repeat myself, but that's like super important that they figure out the viewer perspective, the spectator perspective. It needs to be easier to follow, and it's a challenge. But I mean, now they have the time, right? Second point that they make is that they will change the economy. We mostly assume that the game will go free to play in one way or the other. There's been speculations. There's been the supposed Valve insider, whatever.
And there's other things. I don't think it's just going free to play. I mean, you've bought cards from the market, right?
Yeah.
If you buy a card and you go check your email, there's the card price, there's the Valve fee, and then there's the Artifact fee. So if you buy items from other games, I never played CSGO or other games that you can buy items to use inside the game. But I remember when I played Dota and when I bought items in the market, there was a Valve cut. And that was it. There was no Dota cut. So the way I see it is, even as the market, they put like an extra tax on cards to make cards more valuable, I guess. I don't know why they did it this way, but even that is already a change they need to do to the way the game works. Because I can't be paying like three euros or $3 for a card when like 20 cents is the Valve cut, and then 50 cents extra that I'm paying for that card is the Artifact fee. For me, buying cards, which is what I mostly did at the start, I would feel so good because like I would spend $20 buying cards, and from those $20 that I spent, five would be just for Artifact fee, so cards would still be valuable. That would work in a real paper card game, because you have something in your hand that you can later sell and it values. But in a digital card game, I just feel that's also one of the things they need to change.
Yeah, for first, because you cannot take the money out of Steam, and that's important. But the second thing I think also ties into that very well, and it's the next part of the sentence, is the social experience of playing. Not only should they kind of retire that tax, or if they are really unwilling to change that, very honestly, and I think this is a clear fault in the game. It might be difficult to implement properly because I can imagine third-party sites, but they should allow people to trade cards. I should be able to connect with you, say, here's this card, give me another card, implement some type of safety mechanism not to have people get robbed. But I should, at the very least, if you don't allow me to trade the cards, I should be able to lend you my deck. Say, here, dude, take my deck, play this tournament. You can give it back to me tomorrow, or put a timer on the trade, whatever, that it automatically comes back the next day. That's something that, for a game that was touted as having a kitchen table feeling experience to it, that's something that is sorely missing, and it kind of ties into what you just said.
Yeah, even the social experience of playing can tie up to the part of spectating, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I want to be able to talk with my friends, like as if I would be on Twitch, talk to other people while I watch a game, maybe even interact with the players. If it's not like a tournament setting or so, if it's a casual game, why should I not be able to spectate one of my friends and, talk onto the table even maybe? I don't see how that would be bad in a casual game.
You spectated games that I was playing, and you remember you got like you crashed from the spectating like a lot of times.
Yeah, the broadcasting mode. Yeah.
Yeah, even that doesn't work very well. I don't know how they implemented it, but I tried spectating your games and also happens.
Instead of having you broadcast the game and make me watch it, I should be able to go inside the game of Artifact and just watch whatever you're playing. Like as if I would be running a tournament and just spectating the match. That's how it should be. It should not be that you have to stream and destroy your upload connection via broadcasting the whole game to me. I should just be able to go inside the client and watch it.
Yeah, that's exactly how Dota works, right?
Yeah.
They have the system. They just need to put it there too.
I realize. I mean, Dota has been being worked on for several years, and that's okay. I realize that it takes time to implement these things. It's just like we're just speculating on things that they need to do. So it says, next up, moving forward, we'll be heads down, focusing on addressing these larger issues instead of shipping updates. And this sentence is kind of the sentence that made me the angriest, because as I read this, I just imagined like I just interpret this as meaning that for the last 2-3 months they had not been doing this already. Like, oh, moving forward, so starting from today, we're going to be focusing on these larger issues, guys. And like, what the fuck, dude? We've been casting now. It's our 7th episode. For 2 months we've been casting since this podcast began. All I imagine is that they've been putting their head downs and programming to get the game out of its current state. And now they go and say, moving forward, we're going to do this. Wow, this is such a letdown. This is it's just really disappointing to me. Like I mean, we already touched on it, but were they expecting the new expansion to save everything, or were they just working on TI and then they had to abort everything because TI was getting canceled? Or dear God,
I don't know. I'll put it in the way that I see. I see hidden messages a little bit in this. When you play a game and the game has problems, and you want the developers to fix them, but they don't really care. They're just spending their coding time doing extra content and new DLCs and new expansions, because that's what gives them money. The way I see it is this message, even if it doesn't, even if we don't like it, what it says is we're not going to focus on creating an expansion and milk more money. We're going to focus completely on fixing the problems, making the game something that the people like and want, and then reinvest our time again into making an expansion or whatever. So the way I see it, even if it's not sentenced in a way that we wanted, what I see here is them saying we're going to focus on the problems instead of making new content or just trying to sell you an expansion that will fix the problem.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. They finish out by saying that they expect the process of experimenting and development to take a significant amount of time. Everyone's speculating what the significant amount of Valve time means. Very honestly, I would be surprised if we get our hands on something before Christmas. Maybe they announce something at DI again. They would have to be very careful with announcing artifact related things again at TI, but On the other hand, it's in China, and the Chinese population, the Chinese people have been the ones that have been the most excited about this game, or at least it feels to me like there's still a lot of Chinese people playing the game. So, on the other hand, they might be excited to receive news for the game, but I honestly don't see anything coming out before Christmas.
I don't know. That's a bit harsh. I know you might be right because this is Valve we're talking about. They like to take their time, even be it with games or with patches. And we've seen this in other games. But I don't know. I just don't think they're gonna. They released a game on was it November or December? I can't remember from
It
last
was
year.
in November. It was basically beginning of
Yeah.
December.
So the game was at its peak for like 1 month, and then it slowly started dying. I cannot imagine that they're gonna take one whole year to release an overhaul of the game. It just feels alien to me to do it that way. Uh, I would like, to be honest, by the summer to have something, and even then, that's a lot for people who have been waiting 3 months now. But yeah, I know it's Valve. They got a tons of money, and they don't really have to hit markers and give us a perfect game. I don't really know how to put this. Maybe after the TI or during the TI, they might give an announcement of after the TI that we're gonna release the new artifact, or maybe uh, or even before the TI. Because in my opinion, the only thing that they needed to do was to put the game free to play at this point, and every time you leveled up, you'd get a booster and make a decent ladder with MMR. I don't know how much work that would be, and I guess a lot. I'm not a programmer, so I'm not entirely sure how the game was coded and how much that would mean to change in the game. I don't even know if that's their idea at the moment, and this overhaul that they speak about is going to be that. I just feel they don't need to change the core mechanics and all the things that they mentioned in the post. I just feel they needed to make the game free to play to bring more people in, make a ladder that works and gives you like a booster every time you leveled up, and slowly the game would get back to life. But let's see.
Let's see. I mean, now the game is essentially dead, and they're not under any pressure to program anything because there's no dates confirmed, there's no tournament confirmed, so no one is waiting for them besides a few hundred fanatics. So yeah, I think that's what there was to say about this. If you guys have other opinions, let us know on social media. I checked a few large article websites, artifact websites, and I could not find much. So most major websites have not commented on this yet, but I expect some of them to shut down, as others have already before. We'll see. Regarding upcoming tournaments, the Artifact Bitcoin League Season 2 finals are going as we speak. So a new season will begin this week. If you're into drafting, brainscans.net has their own constructed league as well if you're interested into constructed tournaments. And I just found out today there's a mixed league with, I think, bi-weekly tournaments called the b3hartifact.com, and they're running stuff as well. So if you're one of the remaining players and you're still interested in playing for the foreseeable future, head on to those organizations and look for some events. Otherwise, we might see each other in the queues if you're in our time zone, or if we keep playing, because right now it's all very questionable. How do you feel, man? Do you feel like you're going to keep playing the game, or do you feel like how do you see yourself in your relationship with Artifact in the coming weeks to months?
As long as I keep having fun with the game, I'm gonna play it because I don't feel I'm not one of the people that are like angry at the monetization completely. I like playing the game. I have fun. I enjoy it. So I'm gonna keep playing the game. Not this. The statement that they came out obviously let me a bit disappointed because everyone wanted new cards and wanted something new in the game. But as a time being, I'm going to keep playing because I still enjoy the game.
I'm pretty sure that I will keep playing the game. I have now the opportunity to try to reach level 75 since we have like an infinite amount of time to play now. But we'll see. I'm sure my interest will go up and down depending on the availability of tournaments and the number of other concurrent players. But we'll see. As for the podcast, we are not planning to stop podcasting, but depending how the community is going and how our personal experiences are going, we might reduce the number of podcasts. But hopefully, there will be enough things to talk about that we can still try to make regular episodes. But we shall see. In any case, we are not quitting because well, we're obviously in it for the long haul.
Maybe we should change it for the long overhaul now.
or the longer haul.
Or the longer
Yeah.
haul. But yeah,
Or the much longer haul.
but we're gonna
Or-
stay strong, and we're gonna keep going because we enjoy this. I mean, we're doing the podcast because we like the game, and it's fun doing this that we do.
I think the indefinite haul, maybe.
I mean,
Or the extremely long haul.
when we started, the game was in the point it is now, and we didn't have like when we first episode we had like 10 listeners, 20. Doesn't matter. The thing is, we enjoy the game, and while we enjoy the game, we're going to do the podcast.
Let's get our new logo and like ask someone to like Photoshop like a sticker on top of the long and just make it extremely long haul. All right, that's it for this week, guys. Thanks for listening, and yeah, hope to see you around.
Yeah, see you guys next week.